Okay, let's get started. So I've got my eye drawing of my animal that I've selected. I think I'm going to start in the center here where I had started my drawing. And you're going to notice that when you have to add some lighter colors, if you have some darker pencil lines, you may want to erase those out a little bit. So I'm just going to lightly go over with my eraser. And I'm going to try to blend those out. Just so that there are a little bit less. And that way when I put the lighter color down, then it won't show through as much. You should probably do it on everything, but sometimes I can get away with some of the darker colors overtaking the pencil. I'm just going to kind of lighten up the center area here. And I'm just kind of going around with my, not very hard, I don't want to get rid of my lines, I just want to lighten them up. And then I'm going to start. And I really want to observe the picture that I was looking off of. You guys will have your Chromebooks or computers to help you out with that, or maybe you printed out a picture. So I'm going to start with the yellows because that's the lightest color in here. My blacks, I'm going to save that stuff toward the very end. I don't want to get too dark right away. All right, and I'm just going to come in. Let's see if I can get that to show up there. So when I start to color, there's some things I want to keep in mind. I want to go with a smaller pencil stroke. I don't want to make it too sporadic, and I'm not pushing down very hard on this, and so I'm just kind of gonna lightly shade, and I can really do the whole thing. You know, the reason we lightened up some of the pencil lines is so that they wouldn't show through, but when I go over this, those pencil lines there are going to show through. That's okay, I wanted those to. I want to be able to see them later because that's where I'm going to start to add some dark color to it. All right, and so I'm going to continue with this throughout this whole pupil or iris part, I guess. And I'm trying to keep them going in the same direction, and I'm not pushing very hard at all. It's kind of why I have my grip a little further away and I'm not right down on here. Sometimes when we get real close, that's when we're pushing a little bit harder and we want a little bit more control. I'm just kind of lightly shading this in yellow and working my way around and letting some of those pencil lines come through because I'll go in with my other colors. So I'm going to finish. So I've finished with the yellow and I've started to go in with my next lighter color. In fact, I've got kind of the color choices that I'm going to use up here. I've got my orange, I've got some red, I got my yellow again, and I've got a darker red and some browns. So I'm going to use those to start to layer. And there was some dark areas in my picture, so you'll see that there are some oranges and reds going on in here. So I'm going to start to layer those in as well. I'm going to go in as light as I can with those, and then probably go in and start adding a little bit of the red to them to darken them up. Again, I'm trying to keep it from going super dark. I'm pushing a little bit harder on this pencil than I did with the yellow and the orange, but not a whole lot. I want to keep them kind of clean. I keep looking over at my picture to see that I am getting the right colors in the right locations, and I'm working from there. What's nice is that on the yellow as well, there'll be some shading and some kind of spiraling out or spider webbing out, I guess, from the pupil. Some lines, some red lines, which is one of the reasons why I chose this picture. I kind of like the way that effect of the colors mixing and the way that they kind of work with the iris. And so I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to start working on that, and I will be right back. So I've got some of the details in there for the eye. I'm going to start to give a little bit of the black tone in there. Again, I don't want to go super dark, but I'm definitely going to fill it in so that it helps the contrast between the color and the pupil. And then that should help with the surrounding areas. I have some pretty bright yellow in there that I want to make sure that it still shows up. Along the edges of this will be some pretty bright yellow. So I'm just going to go in with a flat black color, and I have a couple spaces in here where there's going to be some more color. I'm going to put that in and possibly give a little bit of that color to the outside, and then I'm going to go and darken up some of my reds and yellows and oranges in the eye so that they will pop and stand out a little bit more. I'm just trying to keep this as clean as possible by using some shorter lines, trying to keep them in the same direction, and kind of going from there. And then I'll continue to work on this, and hopefully we finish this up and we can start working on the scales. Alright, so now I've been going in, put in some reds, make it just a little bit darker in there, and then I have been working some oranges and some yellows onto the outside. Eventually, again, I don't want to go too dark. Once you go really dark, it is hard to overlap, but I want to let some of those red lines and orange lines show through, and so I'm just kind of lightly layering as I work my way around, and I kind of keep all the pencils in my hand here so I can switch back and forth from what I'm doing. I'm also trying to keep them consistently going in kind of a circle, because I want to make them look like they've got some type of shine to them. So it will look a little bit, if I keep them short and sweet and make them go all the way around, kind of a radial design, I can get them to kind of blend out. And by overlapping, it kind of blends them together, which will also add to the shiny effect. Figure out how to get my camera to stop. There we go. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way around. And then I'm going to take some brown and go around the edges to give it a little bit of a shadow. And plus I've got my black here, so I'm going to actually probably use that for a little bit of shading as well. I punched up the yellows around the outer edge. I really kind of pushed a little bit harder to get them a little brighter. And then I'm slowly working my way around the eye. So we'll see what it looks like in a few minutes here, okay? Okay, I am going to go in with my darks now. I've got my black colored pencil. I'll probably still keep the browns and the reds close by, but I am going to be pretty much finishing up with this part of the eye. I'll go in and add some darks in here, maybe a little shadowing to touch up some of these areas, and then I'm going to work my way out from there. So I'm going to keep that black, I'm going to keep working in here, and then I'm going to start working on my greens. And this process takes a little bit of time, but it is worth it if you take the time to layer and make sure your pencil lines are short and kind of go in the same direction. That will keep them clean, and if you've got a smooth area, they'll look smooth. And so we'll just take our time with that. So I'm going to finish this up, and then when I come back, we'll start working on the greens, and then we go for there. Okay, so I've pretty much got most of this finished. I'll probably go back in, but I'm going to take a break from this right now. I feel like I got to probably add a little bit more dark tone to it. But I'm going to start working on the scales. So I've already started putting in some of my light blue. I've gone in with very, very light blue shading along in here. I want some of those pencil lines to still show through, so I'm not going very dark. I've got my blue-green. I've got some different greens. I've got black and white over here as well. I'm going to treat it very similar to what I did for the eye, where I'm going to layer. With my tones in here, I have some very light blues, so I'm probably going to mix in some white with that. I've got different tones of green, and then I want to get those dark blues and blacks in for the creases. So I'm going to work on that for a little bit, and then we're going to come back, and then I'll probably talk a little bit about if you've got some different type of texture for your animal and you want to try to start to show that, then we'll go over that for a little bit here. But really, layering and looking at the different colors that you have in your picture, or if you're looking at your screen, you know, there's even some yellows in here as well and some light greens. So I'm going to make sure that I'm paying attention to the area that I'm in and trying to duplicate those colors by layering. Don't go dark right away. If you go dark right away, then it's hard to blend those colors in. So I've got a lot of different colors going on in here. Like I said, I probably still got to go in and add some more darks, but I'm going to take a break from that now, and I'm going to start working on the scales. Okay? So here we go. Started putting in my greens and my yellows and my blues and mixing those together. Like I said, I lightly started layering, and then you just get a little darker. Even these lines in between are not total black lines. They've got blue in there, and then a little lightly, just a little black over the top of them to darken them up. I try to go with the color that's in there, so there's a little bit of green, dark green in here with a little bit of black, just to get those different grooves that you would see within these sections in here. So you're going to continue doing that throughout the remainder of the picture. Okay, so we've got a long way to go here. I'm not going to bore you with me going back and forth. Hopefully when I get done, I'll put a picture of this one on Instagram. Knock on wood that I get this done. I do want to go over a couple things here. So let's say you have a different texture than the scales that I have. So maybe you've got some hair. You still want to kind of lightly go underneath it with a basic skin tone or what you think the basic lighter color would be. And so maybe if I had a lion, I'll go in with a little bit of the lighter color of yellow, and then I could use a mixture of some oranges, some browns, some reds, and mix those together. And I can even use a little white in there to kind of blend them out. And when you're doing that, especially fur, you want to try to draw the fur the length that it is and the direction that it's growing. You wouldn't just go, oh, he's got fur, and scribble side to side. You want to try to draw each little piece. And when they start building up and getting together, and I'll start mixing some of these colors together, you let that yellow show through, so you got a little base color down in there. And you know, if it's a darker spot, then you put them closer together. And if it's a lighter spot, then they get a little further apart, or you don't push as hard. And this will, if it's curved, you want to draw it in a curved angle, you know, depending on which direction it is going. Like I said, the white is always nice because it will blend colors together. It's not going to make it super white, but it'll start to lighten up and soften some of those harder lines, and you'll start to get that feeling that this is fur or hair or something like that. So make sure you're looking at your picture to see what direction things are going. You know, if it's feathers, depending on which way they might be. You know, you've got little pieces that kind of come off of there. You'll draw feathers individually and making sure that you get those lines to show. One of the biggest pet peeves I think I have is when students do a nice drawing. So let's say that this is their drawing, and they'll go, oh, well, this is green, so I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to color this in green. You know, and they use big long lines and they change the direction all over the place. Well, you're getting a lot of different tone changes in there with it being lighter and darker. But each one of these is an individual piece, so you kind of have to go in and make sure that you're coloring them with smaller lines because we want this to be smoother per each scale, and we want to be able to see these bumps. With having these straight, flat lines going across, you're not going to see all these nice bumpy scales. You're not going to see this nice value in here, and so you want to make sure that you're trying to show that stuff the best you can. All right? Guys, work on yours. All right, as you're working on yours and finishing up, this will be the last time we work on this in class or online. We're going to start something new next week, so just work on those. If you've got some nice pictures, send them to me via email, or if you are somebody that's in my class that are coming back to my class, make sure you bring them with me so that I can see them in your sketchbook. All right? Speaking of sketchbooks, we do have these in. I don't know if I told the remote learners yet, but we just got these in at the end of last week. So I wanted to put this on this video that if you would like yours, there'll be some in the main office entryway there. It'll have a box that'll say 7th grade sketchbooks. There should be your name is on it, so take the one with your name on it. And then this is what we'll do our drawings in, and this will keep it nice and organized. This was nice. Ms. Shavers bought, we put together and bought a lot of sketchbooks for every student here in Limestone. So just keep in mind that there are only 50 pages. We're probably going to need most of those pages for our artwork this year, so we want to keep those nice and clean. Don't do any extra drawing in here just yet. Just do the projects that I provide, and then if you want to do something to the cover, tape on it, marker, whatever, put something nice on it, you can do that. You can do that to the back. Let's just save the inside for me, okay? So you can pick these up whenever. There's no rush to come out and get them. They'll be there for a couple weeks. And so when it's most convenient for you or your parents, you can come out and pick those up. All right? Guys, enjoy your weekend. And like I said, next week we'll start another sketch inside of here. And good luck on the animal drawings. All right? Have a good day.